What's up everyone, it's Mike here from The Art of Guitar, here with a quick lesson on the essential licks of Freebird. I know some people will roll their eyes and be like, Freebird, what? Just because it's kind of become a joke at the end of some concerts for someone to yell out Freebird. Freebird. Despite that, this solo has so many great things for guitar players to learn from, and I realized that when I had to learn it a long time ago, that I wasn't just learning this song, I was learning a lot of licks that could easily transfer to other situations. So they're what I call very substantial licks that carry a lot of sound, and you'll find that if you're in a situation where you're jamming or you just have to improvise something, if you could pull these licks off, you'll find that they take up a lot of space musically. So take the time to learn these licks and you'll see you can adapt them to your own situations, and you can even modify them a little bit to make them your own, and that's what I'm hoping everyone does with these licks. If they're playing the chords G, B flat, I got like an 80s rock tone going, sorry about that, and then C, little smoke on the water there. It opens you up for the major sound and the minor sound as far as pentatonic goes. And you're going to see that they flip-flop between the two worlds, and that's what adds to a lot of the character of these licks. So the first one we're going to be thinking of as G minor pentatonic. Up here, 15th fret, 18th fret, let's say if you're walking up. And if you go to that 18th fret, second string, and just bend it up a whole step, adding the 18th fret of the first string to that adds a very cool sound. So that's combining two notes to create very interesting sounds. Now, if you keep that top note static while bending the note below it up a whole step, everything in between gets very interesting if you can hear that sound. It's the frequencies just rubbing together and going crazy because you're affecting the bottom note while keeping the top one static. Now, they don't only do that. What I noticed was as he's bending, you get all that stuff going on, but then he starts to do heavy vibrato as he's bending with that bottom string, with the lower string here on the second string, while keeping that top one where it is, and that's a pretty intense sound. The way I'm picking this, by the way, is I'm downstroking the second string and upstroking the first string. That way I'm kind of doing an outside picking motion, which I prefer over inside picking. If you guys have watched my other videos, you know that whenever I inside pick, I feel kind of trapped. It's like some weird claustrophobia I have. Now later we're going to use that in different situations, so we might not always be at the 18th fret. We might switch strings, we might go way up high to the 22nd fret. Hear the change right there? And that's if you use it more in a major pentatonic situation. Now this one's a little different from the previous lick, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking that concept, moving it to the second and third strings this time, staying in that G minor pentatonic area, and we're going to leave the second string 18th fret static this time, while going to the 17th fret of the third string. And what's cool about this one, when he's playing that, is he's hitting the top note, the 18th fret. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just using fret numbers for anyone who doesn't know their notes. But if you guys want to keep track of notes too, that's a good exercise to do. So you could be thinking F instead of 18th fret and so on. Okay, so we're going to hit that. We're going to hit the 17th fret of the third string, C, and we're going to pre-bend it. So what that means is you're going to bend it up a whole step, then play it, and then drop it down. Now if you combine that with what we did earlier with the other lick, you get this combination. It's a great sound. You can combine them together as well. I use this lick all the time when I'm improvising because it just has a cool groove and it feels fun to play. Remember what I said before, just because something feels good to play though doesn't mean it always sounds good. This one feels and sounds good. So what we're going to do is we're going to play the 15th fret of the third string. We're still in that G minor pentatonic. Then we go to the fourth string and we do a 17th fret to 15th fret pull off. Followed by an immediate 5th string, 17th fret, bottom note. So you end up with this. Now, like all these other motifs that we're putting together, You got to play it over and over and over again. And that's another thing I was going to mention about how cool the solo is it's really just one lick at a time, repeat it a bunch of times. And you'll notice if a guitar player really wants to go for a dramatic type effect, they'll do that. They'll just keep repeating one lick over and over again, and it just makes it cooler. So we get this. Put in the right context. Let's say the beat's like boom, 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 boom. Fun to play. By the way, you can move this around. You could do this to any part of the pentatonic scale. Staying in the same area, you could link all these together, by the way. That's what they do. And what we're going to do is first of all, we're going to do a series of pull-offs. So we're going to go to the 3rd string 17th fret, pull it off to the 15th fret. Go to the 4th string and do the exact same thing. Followed by going back to the 3rd string 17th fret, bending it up a whole step. So if you start to put this in order and repeat it, you get this. Sometimes I like to start it with a bend. Other times I like to start it with a pull-off. See how each one offers a different type of sound? Depending on what kind of groove you're doing, what part of the beat you want to grab, that's up to you. This one's very interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to pre-bend on the 2nd string, 18th fret, and we're going to let it drop down and then pull off to the 15th fret. So you get this. Right away, we're going to come back to the 18th fret, same string, and then we're going to repeat the process. This one is so effective, it sounds really cool when you go fast, and the picking, if you do it correctly, is actually not that hard. So watch what I end up doing. So when I hit the 18th fret after I do my pull-off, I do a downstroke. Then when I go to re-bend, I do an upstroke. So you end up with this great parallel motion with the hands once again, like we did earlier, and that helps you whenever you're doing licks to make sure you're doing it right. If your hands are moving in a certain motion, kind of like you're sweep picking almost, it assures me that I'm doing it the correct way. If my hands look like they're going the opposite way, usually there's problems. All right, I have to thank Kirk Hammett probably for this next lick, the ability to play it, I should say. So what we're going to do is I use my pinky and my first finger, 18th fret, 15th fret. We're going to do a pull-off on the 2nd string. Then we're going to reach down to the 3rd string 17th fret, and we're just going to play that one and bend it up right away. It's so quick. There's no waiting. It's just boom. Then we return back to the 2nd string 15th fret, and that's it. And we repeat that. So I use my pinky and ring finger. I go like this. Hear the Metallica sound right there? I believe he uses his ring finger and middle finger, just like a lot of guitar players like to do, because the ring finger is a lot stronger than the pinky in a lot of cases. So you get this. Very valid. For me, the middle finger, I have a hard time bending that one up, so I like to use my ring finger, but once again, it's totally personal preference. Now, the hardest part of this is the picking aspect of it. You can do what I do if you want to and do economy picking. That's where when I go from the 3rd string to the 2nd string, I just let the pick go down, down. Then I do an upstroke on the pull-off. That's legit. Or you could just do, I believe, what Kirk Hammett does, and he picks downstroke for the pull-off, and then down up for the string, not string skip, but from going from string to string, like that. I'm leaning more towards that these days because I really like the solid feeling of getting those picks in there. Once again, thank you Kirk Hammett for the ability to do this next lick. Who knew Metallica and Skynyrd had so much crossover, at least for me. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move down to the octave. We're still in G minor, but what we're going to be using is these lower frets, which require a bigger stretch. What I want you to do is go 6th fret to 3rd fret pull off, and do the same thing with the 5th fret to 3rd fret pull off. So you get a... It's kind of AC/DC thing right there. I like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to reach down with our pinky and hit the 6th fret of the 2nd string. And then come right back to the 1st string, 3rd fret. So see how G is our central note right there? Those are the notes. Now you have to make it flow. So let's try this. See how I immediately defaulted to my economy picking? That's how used to it I am. Of course, you could do this an octave higher. That sounds great too, but try to do it low because that's how they do it in the song, and it helps you practice stretching a little bit. You might have to do some finger yoga to get ready for this one. Now you guys might think this is very similar to another one that we just did, but there's a difference. So hear me out. We're gonna go to we're back up here to the 2nd string 18th fret. We're gonna pull off to the 15th fret. We're gonna reach down to the 17th fret, but we're not gonna bend, okay? Because earlier we did this kind of thing. Now we're going to just play the 17th fret just straight up. Now we're going to skip up to the 15th fret of the 1st string. So you get this really interesting 3-string routine. Isn't that crazy? Now, picking can be a little bit of a chore. Utilize all the picking I talked about earlier and find your own way to do this one. I find that if I go downstroke on the 3rd string, I could do an upstroke on the 1st string, and I get that nice outside picking feel versus that claustrophobic inside picking, which I fear so much. So we get... Now what I find is people try to roll their finger to make it really clean, but Skynyrd's not always clean, and in this case you don't have to be because you're going so fast. These are 16th notes and the tempo's already pretty fast, so you don't have to really worry about being perfect on this one as far as every note being super clear. But what I do recommend is that you just get it rolling. Now what I would probably do just for experiment is I'm used to some Travis picking. I like to do that. So I might just go like this. Thanks to Brent Mason for showing me that one. Not personally, I saw it on a video, but still, I like to say things like that. Freaks people out. Okay, I believe this was in the Angus Young video. I believe it's been so long. What it is, it's the same concept as the pull-offs and the economy picking, but we're going to go to the 1st string 18th fret, pull off to the 15th fret, and then we're just going to dip down to the 2nd string 15th fret. And we're actually going to make it just that. We're not going to come back like this. That's what a lot of people would assume you would do, but we're just going to go like this. Go right back to the beginning. You might ask, well, is that Travis picking valid as well? Yes, I've done this before too. Because the middle finger can so easily play that 1st string, you could pluck that and then down pick the 2nd string. So as you're learning these licks, remember, the rest of the solo is just different versions of those same licks, just used in different contexts and sometimes brought back for the exact same context. But hopefully you'll hear as you play these that they're very effective and they're very musical. And then if you want to move them, like I said before, to other situations, they're very easy to manipulate and to modify in order to fit whatever situation you want. So remember, on the site we like to talk about how to play in any key that you want to. Today we're just talking about G. But the different situations that call, like say if you had to play in a different key, you have to know how to move to those different areas of the neck. The best part is you could still use the same licks, the same techniques, you just have to move them to the right places. And then you should be able to fit any situation. So if you have trouble with that kind of stuff on the theory end, go ahead and check out theartofguitar.com. And we'll be coming out with a couple new artist series. I'm still working on those. These ones are tough, so they're taking me a while. So I guess we'll either see you there at the website or at another lesson that I might be putting out here in a couple days. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.